So here we are, Dan Paley. Welcome to the podcast. How's it going?
Good, mate. Thank you for having me.
No worries. Short notice.
Yeah.
We've moved a little bit. How would you? What is this place that we're in? You know it better than I do.
Yeah, it's a physio den by day and strip club by night.
It does look a bit like
it's
a strip club, but it's Darren Roberts.
Darren Roberts, Action Sports Solutions, like, you know, office, home hub, fucking. I just swore.
Nah, you're good. You can swear. It's all good.
Yeah, like this is where it goes down, and this is where all the rehab happens, and yeah, it's like it's just made it just to be like a fun environment, you know, and just like be like put you in a good mood, and you know, you don't just feel like you're turning up to some sort of gym and got to do things. It's like just like real nice.
So,
real nice vibe.
So basically, have you been coming here for the last while because you've had a recent, like, what's your recent injury that you've had that has meaning that you've been in here?
Yeah, so basically like 7-8 months ago, I broke my ankle, and it was pretty bad. It was like probably one of the worst breaks you could do to an ankle as far as I'm learning now. But yeah, Darren reached out and was just like, "Yo, I'd just love you to like come in and like help me as best as he can." And like the help's been incredible. Like I really can't like thank him enough, and like I really owe my entire progress to him, like, because it's so confusing having like so many different feelings and your foot just being like this, and like you're not really knowing what it's doing or like what you're looking out for, like changes and stuff. And he just really gets it, like really gets like even the riding aspect, like how you stand like on your pedals, you know, switching your feet, all that stuff, being, you know, trying to equalize out your balance and stuff like that. He knows his stuff.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I guess such a difference between like working with someone like Darren who can kind of like pull it all together and make sense of it and have that sort of like action sports background, which is a little bit different to say dealing with someone who's either not an athlete or an athlete in like a mainstream sport, I suppose.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like he knows so many and has worked with so many like athletes, like, you know, broad spectrum, snowboarders, bikers, like everything. And just feel like his knowledge over the years obviously concentrated into what he knows now. And it's not just his knowledge of obviously his rehabilitation, but it's his knowledge of like how you do the sport and what goes into it. Because, you know, like a runner's not going to have the same like rehab plan as like a skateboarder or something, even though they're like both stood up and, you know, both like to the untrained eye or to the average person, it's probably like, oh, you just stood on something, or, you know, you're using your leg muscles, but it's like so much different. Like, yeah, it's so different. So the fact that he gets that, it contributes to like everything, you know, and how much progress, and yeah, he just really knows his stuff. So
as you said, it's been like 6 or 7 months. I'm not an expert, but that sounds like that is not a standard break of an ankle if you're still here 6 or 7 months working on it. What you did, how is that different from like a simple break? So basically,
I'm not going to start talking too many technical names because I'll get something wrong and I'll sound stupid, but I know it like basically. But you've obviously got your fibula and your tibia, which are like two bones that make up your ankle socket. So usually when someone breaks an ankle, you'll like break the side of the bone off. So imagine like your leg comes down and the surround of your ankle comes around your talus, which is what I broke. So basically your foot would like break and the side of your ankle tends to break off. Like Jordan Godwin, like he's broke his ankle a couple of times. And he actually sent me an x-ray of the last time he broke his ankle, and it was the exact same thing. It's like the side of his ankle breaks off. So they can usually repair it with keyhole. And the fact that like the main socket of your ankle, the main like load bearing point of your ankle isn't really touched and moved around. Like what I did to my ankle is I broke the talus bone, which is the articulate like load bearing bone, and it flipped around in my ankle. So I had to have this like wire put in my foot. Like they literally like stuck wire into my foot to like manipulate it back round. So then they could do surgery on it. And it's like the fact that I've had like my ankle cut open and like, so I've had like 2 incisions on the top of my foot, 1 on the side, and then this huge one that goes up the side of my ankle. And it's just purely the fact that like I've had my center of my ankle just cut open and just, you know, screws in my talus. Like it's just, I feel like when people usually break their ankle, it's not actually your ankle, it's more your leg. You're actually breaking the bottom of your leg.
Yeah, okay.
But it's called your ankle.
People would say, oh, I broke my ankle.
I broke my ankle because it's that
leg
close to it. Yeah, you actually broke your leg, really. And until you start breaking like your talus, like navicular bone, and like they're basically the 2 like ankle bones, and the real shit bones to break. Like as you can see, there's a motocross rider that was getting treated by Darren last year, and he broke his navicular bone in his foot, and he was like, I couldn't do a calf raise for a year. Like a full year, couldn't do like a single leg calf raise. And it just shows you, it's the trauma and the surgery, and you know, the bone's healed now, it's been healed for months. But it's just the trauma of it, you know, the cutting apart and the moving around, and because I'm just dealing with scar tissue impingement now. It's the bone's healed and I don't get any pain essentially in the ankle. It's just surrounded by the scar tissue that needs like working out, you know. So yeah, that's what we're on.
Sounds like you've done your research. Sounds like you could have a career in some sort of physiology after riding, now that you've learned so much. Like,
yeah, no, I'll leave that to Darren, like, definitely. But I like to know, you know, I like to.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's good to research a bit, and so you know, and you have an idea in your head, because when you get like little pains or something feels a bit weak or something might not feel right, if you can address it to a certain area, or if you have an understanding of that certain area, then maybe you can, you know, figure stuff out yourself, and you have a more understanding of it, you know. So yeah, that's why I like to just at least find out a little bit and know kind of how it works, just so yeah, it's a bit more understanding.
How much, when it comes to like recovery, how much is just kind of like knowing, well, I guess like what you say there is like knowing like what certain pains are, so like, yeah. And I guess that, does Darren help with that, where basically like if something is still hurting doesn't necessarily mean that you can't still ride in it? Because I know like in my past, like if I've say been injured, it's like,
don't ride.
Yeah, as soon as it hurts, don't ride. Yeah. But then actually, like when I come in to work with Darren a little bit and his guys, it's actually just like pretty much not all they did to take away from what they did, but they basically kind of like told me what it was still hurting, and actually riding on it's not gonna do any more damage. And that was pretty much like me sorted. Yeah,
no, for sure. And I feel like, because it's exactly like what Darren says, it's like, you know, a lot of like physio rehabilitation practices just see everyone as a whole and not as an individual. So, you know, again, you could have a skateboarder, a BMXer, a runner, a rugby player go into a certain physio practice wherever, and they'll just be like, right, you know, everyone do the same thing. I know when I did my knee in, I had physio by the NHS, not taking anything away from them. I think that they were absolutely amazing people. I'm not trying to say like that there was any problem with what they were doing. Like the people that were actually working really cared and wanted to help. But, you know, I was in a class with people that had broke their ankle, or, you know, like done something to the foot, or a different related knee injury. So I'm essentially in a class with like 10 other people, 15 other people, and we've all got different injuries, but we're all doing the same thing. We're all doing the same kind of like rehabilitation exercises. And it's the same thing. It's like, they'll tell you, don't go on your bike, or, you know, don't.
They always have to err on the side of caution as well, which is like, can be problematic in itself, I think.
Exactly. And I think what it is with that is they really just don't want you to see you coming back with further injury. Like if you know, if it means don't go on your bike, you know, if it means you're not going to hurt yourself, don't go on your bike, you know what I mean? Then don't do it. And it's like, but then from Darren's perspective, like an action sports perspective, it's like, we need to get back riding. Yeah. It's not about just like, I need to get back walking so I can walk up the stairs, or I can, you know, get up from the sofa and walk to the kitchen. Like I literally need to be able to like put hammer back through this foot. And it's like, part of that process is building it up through riding and through actions that you fucking, sorry, I'm...
Don't worry about it. It's all good. I don't think any kids have like the attention span these days to listen to podcasts. So you probably now we're like 10 minutes in.
It's all right. I'll not do that again.
Nah, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, it's like you're giving it more similar pressures, and you're not fully putting load through it, and you're not smashing it, but you've got to be doing something to it. You know what I mean? You've got to be pushing the load, and you've got to be pushing the belt out a bit, but not going so far that you're going to hurt it again. So, for Darren, it's like, get back on your bike, but, just cut around, and he'll watch you, and he'll see what you're doing, and he'll see how you're standing, and, he'll check like my dorsiflexion on my ankle and see how much it's bending and stuff. And, he really understands that you're not just going to not ride and then get back on. You've got to there's got to be that transition period. And he
probably knows as well from working with other extreme sports athletes that telling you not to ride is probably not going to work. So it's like, I know I'm going to ride, so may as well
tell me how to do it right.
Help him to do it and like minimize the risk. But
no, it's completely right. Like, like, again, the hospitals I feel like they just don't want you to come back again, like with an even worse injury. And it's like, again, they have to see everyone as a whole and not as an individual. Darren sees you as an individual. They'll do strength tests, see how you walk, see how you lunge, see what you're doing. And then a decision and a plan is based on what you're capable of and what you need to get back out of it. So it's completely tailored to each individual, so you're not just like not just following a sheet, and you're just like falling under a criteria. It's like everything's like tailored. So
it's super interesting to hear how like many folk he's helped and stuff. It's really cool that such a thing even exists in the UK.
I know, it's sick. It's so sick.
But just in case people are listening and maybe don't know so much about yourself, I guess like it's something we talked to Chris Kyle and stuff before. Even without the sort of you riding mountain bikes now, it's always difficult to kind of like categorize like what you do. I know I have difficulty like categorizing what I do, but like as a way for people listening to understand what you do, like how would you explain to someone that you bumped into in a pub or something like that?
What about what you do?
If they said like, all right, man, what do you do? What's your, do you have any go-to?
Just to say I ride bikes, and like most of the time you get a funny look, and then it's just like make videos for YouTube. I just find that's the most easiest thing to say, because
then they're like, you're a YouTuber.
Well, and then you get that, but then it's just like, no, just like the channel's not mine. Like that's why I just say the channel's not mine. I do it for like a company, and it's their channel. But it's like I just never just like being like, oh yeah, I ride for this, or I ride for that, like, especially like when you're in a pub and you're around a bunch of people that don't really get that side. So you know what I mean? You just want to try and explain it as best as possible without like, without looking like a dick pretty much. Do you know what I mean? It's like, can be pretty tech, but I find the YouTube thing, just like, just make videos for YouTube, or like, just do like online videos and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
That's cool. So you're obviously professional, but you're technically professional BMXer stroke mountain biker. It's like a bit of a cliche to like go back and like do the whole story, but we were just saying earlier, like you've not really done a podcast before. You've done a few like documentary stuff, so it would be pretty interesting to hear like even if it's a brief history of like your first time, like do you like, sort of remember like first time on a bike or a BMX like back in the day?
Yeah, of course, man. Like I remember when I was like probably 6-7 years old, just going down to the local park, and there was just like dirt jumps, like sketches dirt jumps with like gaps and like just holes where they like dug dirt out of. And I remember just going down and watching the lads there, and just just training these like 2 jumps that they'd made, and just like just like I'd never seen anything like it. You know what I mean? It's like back in day, like for us when we were younger, we didn't really have like the internet like accessibility that we do today. So like I remember I didn't see someone do a backflip like I didn't see someone do a backflip for years, do you know what I mean? Until like I watched like a props video and I was like, whoa, people go upside down, you know what I mean? But it's like kids are brought into it like nowadays, you know, like they just flick Instagram on and someone's doing it for like a 1080 like flip thingy. But yeah, it was like so, it was so surreal to see that. And then obviously got a bike, and as soon as I got a bike, as soon as mum and dad got me a bike, I just like straight down to the park, just rolling over it. I remember I smashed myself in so bad, grazed my face, like used to come back with cuts and bruises and be like, what are you doing? And just like, I've been down to the park, like trying to do what they're doing. And then, yeah, just
is this a BMX at this point?
BMX, yeah. Like I used to have a 16-inch universal, it was called. Nice. I don't know, man, it was like Argos bike, Halfords, low end, like times a million. I snapped every single tube junction on that frame, every single one. My dad welded it back for me, like, because it just seemed like how I came back and like how the state the bike was in. It just like could tell that he just didn't want me to take it any further or get another bike. So it was just like, weld that one up and like you're on your way. And yeah, it was absolutely haggard, man. My first BMX, absolutely haggard. I think at the end of it, the headset didn't even have any bearings in because it's like loose ball, like quill headset. Yeah. That's like, you know, that thread, like hand thread on one. And I remember I put like tape in the cups and shit, like to try and pack it out, and like it's just absolutely horrendous. Like, just so glad that like bikes have come so far past that, because like
it's mental when you think, like, you sound like super old, but it's funny to think of like the absolute like haggard bikes that we used to ride when we were kids and stuff.
So heavy and tiny.
Yeah, but I guess it's just whatever, you know, and it's mint.
Yeah.
But like, so you're obviously riding these like dirt jumps in the park. Was there like a specific time where it kind of upped? Where you kind of upped your game a little bit and like it suddenly became like a bit more of a thing, like with a new bike or like a skate park or something like that?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I feel like just as time went on and like as I got older, you know, start like meeting new people and stuff like that. And my friend Kyle only lived like 3 miles down the road from me. Yeah. And he had jumps in his back garden, like he even built a rolling ramp, like had jumps and everything. And again, it was like, rode these little jumps in the local field, and then there was like, oh, you know, this kid's got like jumps in his back garden. He used to have everyone over and have sessions and had this rolling ramp, and he used to change the jumps, had a wall ride at the end. And again, it was like going from like that to like that again was like a next level again. Cause I was just like, whoa, like these jumps are like, you know, they were as tall as me. And I'm like, I've gone from these like, seeing these little like roller like jumps like to that. And it was like, that was like the next like evolution almost, because like after that first like shitter bike, I ended up getting a mountain bike. I ended up having a mountain bike, an Axis Townsend it was.
Oh, really? I remember Townsend.
Do you remember? Yeah. Honestly, it was silver with red forks. Honestly, I snapped like 2 pairs of forks on it. Again, used to just go down to my mate Kyle's, and like he'd have gaps in the jumps and stuff, and I'd like case the jumps, like forks would just bend from casing a jump and just.
So you're basically just riding like mountain bike and BMX at this point. It's not like you're like a BMX rider. You're just basically kind of riding.
Just riding a bike. Like the 16-inch like universal was like defo BMX, and the lads that were riding down at the park were on BMXs. But then like as I got a bit older, like other lads came into the scene, but like mountain bikes, you know what I mean? Like downhill bikes, like this lad, I can't remember his name now. But anyway, he used to come down on a downhill bike, and just like, again, I was just like, whoa, like mountain bikes, like, whoa, like people do this on this. And they told me to get a BMX because I was that small, but because I was just following the crowd on like, because it literally went from like people riding BMXs to mountain bikes even back then. And like, I just wanted a mountain bike just because everyone else had one. And like, I remember him saying to me, don't get a mountain bike, you're too small. And I was absolutely tiny. It's like, don't get a mountain bike. But what did I get? Like a full size, like 26-inch mountain bike that again was just a cheese vessel. Like, I'm not even, I'm surprised. Yeah, honestly, man, like the wheels, and all I was doing was hanging up jumps, and I'm bending I'm hanging up like soft pack, like soil, and it's like bending the forks. But But yeah, the mountain bike came after the Axis Townsend came after the first little BMX.
And was that you then straight back onto the BMX?
And then went onto BMX after that.
And I guess was that you for a while then after that on BMX?
that was me for a while, yeah, because after my friend, like at the time of my friend Kyle having the jumps in his yard, we had like a couple of years there riding and whatever. And then we heard like locally down the road, there was an indoor skate park opening. And again, I'd never rid a skate park in my life. I'd never even seen a skate park. I was just like, you know, you seen them on like old props videos and stuff like that in America and stuff. And you just like, you know, it just seems surreal. And then it's like next thing you know, like down the road, there's this like skate park opening. So we ended up going to that, and you know, again, it just brought so many more people in from around the area. And then we, you know, before we know it, we like got a big like friend circle and like loads of mates. And yeah, we're all riding BMX just because we'd kind of gone from riding like dirt jumps in like, you know, in someone's back garden, which would have probably catered for, because my friend Kyle had a hardtail. He had like a Zonic.
Oh yeah, hardtail, like a DS1 or like a black or red one.
Yeah, with green Marizocchi bombers on. I remember that bike. A green Marizocchi bombers. Then they got like this, it got another hardtail. I think it was like a Revell it was called. You ever heard of that?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, but they were on hardtails anyway. But then as going through to the skate park, yeah, it just made us all like ride BMX basically, you know, just because obviously it catered more to that. And it was some of the best and craziest times of my life, like just learning stuff, and just the park was so ghetto, it was ran sketchy, like.
I think that serves you well though, I think, especially when you end up going to the street, basically like learning to ride like shit transitions or like a sketchy run up or something that doesn't line up. And then when it goes back to like a properly built park, whatever, you're like laughing. I
know, no, you're completely right. You're dealing with like creaky, like 50p coin ramps and coping that's like rattling, you're like airing, it's like da-doing, and like screws are on the floor and there's just cracks in the bottom of the ramp. Like, seen so many like bad things happen at that park purely because of just like bad ramps.
Screws in the knees and stuff like that.
I know a lad, my mate Ad like literally went over a volcano and his front wheel washed out and he like sliced his chin open, sliding on the floor, but there was a gap in the board. Bro, there was like literally, imagine ramps that are like boarded down to the floor, and then you know the floor's been boarded as well.
Kicker plate or whatever.
Yeah, but instead of a kicker plate, because they've like boarded the floor. You know, because like skate parks board the floor. Sometimes it's not like bare concrete. But then there's like a gap, like it's almost like they dropped like 50 mil short and then just left it. And that's what it was like over the whole park. And that's what happened to him. Like it went over, bless him. It was a big fucking gash at the time as well. And like, we look back at it and laugh now because the skate park was so sketchy. Yeah. It's actually healed really well, like really well from when it actually happened, because it literally planed his fucking chin off. Like, honestly, I'm not even joking, so bad. And like, yeah, just the park was literally so, like, literally see not like, I remember seeing, I think it was Al Turnbull who had the park, yeah. He used to like blast screws into ramp, but then they go like halfway and you just hear it like, you know, just like skipping in the screw, just hammer bang, just hammer them the rest of the way home. And then you just got a jump box and shit with just a landing that rattles and like, it's not like solid and fuck. So mad.
That's mad. So where did the whole like, how did you then make the transition? I guess you still ride skate parks and stuff, but you definitely like, see yourself more as like, well, I'd see you as like a street rider more now.
Yeah.
Where did that sort of transition come from dirt to park to street?
So, like obviously loved all the props videos and stuff. And I grew up on like Sergio Leos and Mike Aitken and like Corey Martinez and Jason Hens and Joe Rich and Taj. Like, you know, I grew up watching them, and like, not saying that none of them rode street, but I liked them for like the dirt and park influence, like Aitken especially, like huge 360s and like crazy shapes over jumps. And that was always what I loved, because they made it look so fluent and good. And I was just never like, quite honestly, I was never into street riding because the way street was, and like the image of street, it was just so like rugged and like kind of sketchy and like, you know, like in the cut, like it wasn't really like a stylish thing, if that makes sense. I know a lot of people probably like hear me saying this and just like, oh, what a tip. But it's like, for real, I always liked riding because like I liked how something looked. And then it was up until like, I always remember this, like Eddie Cleveland and Chase DeHart brought like a low-tech video out, mixtape out. And I remember watching that and I was just like the most stylish street riding you'd ever seen, like bigger bars, like slim seats, like matte black bikes, like doing like well-dialed whips and threes and just like doing street dialed. And it's like, I always like that influence comes, I'm not trying to say that they were like the true innovators of that, because their style actually came a lot from like Edwin De La Rosa, who always had a mint style as well. But it was just never enough for me to actually really get into street, you know, just those couple of riders was never really enough to actually latch me on. I was always like wowed by Aiken and like dirt moves and stuff like that and the style of that. And it wasn't until like Eddie Cleveland and Chase D did that video that like I really feel like street started to go more like stylish and more about how you do things, as opposed to, you know, just like grinding down a rail like and staying on and like, you know, with the smallest like 4-piece bars in the world. Again, that's like some people's style, but I just never into it, you know, and it just never appealed to me. But yeah, as soon as like that stuff started coming out, like it was just like, wow, I just made me put 2 pegs on, made me want to start grinding. And, you know, men showed grinding could be, you know, you could have fun and do like, you know, stylish, steezy stuff. Like, you know what I mean? And that's what got me hooked. Like, that's what, like, it was the same kind of feeling watching like that as it was like Aiken or someone doing their like stylish, good looking thing over a jump, you know? So it like made me definitely go like one way, but then I kind of leveled out again and just kind of just like everything. Like as I got older, yeah, just kind of like everything now. So
nah, that's cool. So did you basically start riding the street and then like say like BSD and sponsors and stuff? Did that come quite soon after that, or was it a little bit more of a what sort of time frame are we talking?
Well, we kind of like, so I started riding for Stereo back in the day. Before BSD. That was my first sponsor. And it was like kind of around then I was kind of like starting to ride more street, but I still like park and stuff. I've always rode park. I love it. But I was like kind of like, I had pegs on and I was kind of like going that way. And I started riding for Stereo, and then it was just like, you know, wanted to bring out like street vids, do you know what I mean? And like did one for them. I think I did 1 or 2 for them. And then I ended up going over to Glasgow and riding there. And I rode at a jam. And then Grant was just like, yo, do you want to ride for BSD? And I was just like, I can't really. I told fucking these guys I'd ride for him. And then as time went on, I couldn't really not, you know, like I just like loved like Grant and the team and everyone that much and loved being in Glasgow. I just couldn't not do it. And it was like it's almost like divine intervention almost, because it all kind of just fell into its own place. Like Grant was like, yo, well, I really want to push BSD and I really, you know, like want to like make like big moves with it. Like I want a proper team, this and that video. And that's really what happened. You know, we all got on and we all started working towards this, you know, Any Which Way, which was like the first.
Yeah, was that like your first project?
So that was like, that was like first proper like filming, like, and yeah, and it all just kind of happened at the right time, really. Like, yeah, so yeah, that was kind of the transition.
Nah, it's like the whole BSD thing's super interesting, I think, because like I'm obviously from Scotland, so there's obviously loads of awesome BMX brands, but that's definitely for me like the sort of one of the sort of forefront of my mind.
Yeah.
How would you describe BSD to anyone listening who hasn't heard of BSD, like in terms of the brand as well as the team?
I've got so many mixed emotions because there's so much things I could say, but I'd be incriminating myself and the brand. So it's like definitely like full of bants, always full of bants, like on trips and that. Like everything's always a joke, never too serious. Like Grant's just completely off his fucking box. Like he's just fucking. He's been a wild card for years, and I feel like he's like calmed down a lot over the years. But he's just still like deep down, he's still Grant, and like I feel like that rubs off on the company so much, like in a good way. Like I had a bunch of fucking wax things made that look like ecstasy tablets.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
Couldn't sell.
Is that like the sort of thing you would like suggest to Grant? As like, oh, there's like there's no way he's actually going to do it.
And then he'll do it.
Suddenly you got the warehouse and there's hundreds of them in a box.
You'll see, a full box at the back, like with big stickers across it with the name on. Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. Like he's really not scared at all, and it's like. That just shows. It's just like I remember just seeing the wax and he's like, I can't even sell this. And it's just like literally like advertising standards are getting onto him.
Oh really?
Yeah, because it's like
was that your signature product? No, or no, just like a general.
No, it was just a general product. Yeah. But yeah, he's had some funny ones. Grant, I know he called a set of pegs crack pipes.
Oh really?
Yeah, I just called them crack pipes. And I remember a story. Reed had a couple of pegs in his room, and I think his parents are like most parents, quite straight edge and don't want to see the kids delving into narcotics.
Going on,
and like Reed, obviously, like Reed, what are these? Like finding like a trick peg that's called a crack pipe in your room, and obviously they're asking questions. You know what I mean? But like listening,
having to put them on his bike and go and do like a flat rail on the driveway just to prove to them
what it is. I know it is. And but like after hearing that, it just like made me think how many situations that would have caused. Yeah. And that's just Grant, like that's just like
that's like actually a team rider. Like, think how many kids have like bought those.
Yeah, like think how many kids have bought that and probably have them lying around the room, and the parents have probably seen it. But it's like that's just Grant, man. He's just like he really doesn't like. He obviously gives a fuck, but really like doesn't care what people. Think as long as like he's doing what he wants and we're all having fun and we're doing what we want, it's like it's all good, you know. And with the laughs as well, it's all about like trying to get like a Bant's kind of laugh out of everything.
It's like so important because I think like even though like you guys go and make like pretty polished edits, that probably like indirectly like shines through and like the whole vibe of the films, because like you guys are obviously going and doing like insane riding. Some serious annoying one. Like insane riding, but you're also just, you can tell you boys are just like having fun. You can't really fake that, can you?
No, for sure. Like I feel like it's such an important part of like being productive on a trip and filming, and just generally a team working, you know, is all about everyone having fun and not taking each other too seriously and like feeding off each other. And it's like if we go on a trip, it's just like I went on that BSD trip when I broke my ankle, and I just basically got hammered for like a full week solid, like just literally just granted everyone. Like got woken up at like 3 a.m, like a full jug of water, ice cold water poured over me, and like everyone jumping on me, and I was so mad. Honestly. I remember standing up and just looking around, and I just was so mad, but I was just
I think I maybe seen a video of that.
Yeah.
I think Chris showed me it.
Yeah.
I think I saw like a slightly extended cut or something before it got put out.
Yeah. And but then I just grinned it off and just walked out of the room, and then I was just so happy that it went down like that, because like I'd have been so like,
have you ever like on a trip, I'm just now like going like full tabloid and gossip, have you ever had any like run-ins with each other on trips?
Oh, you mean like clashes and confrontations?
Yeah.
No, not real. Not proper bad.
Is it just kind of like stop short of?
Yeah, it'll probably just be like, I don't know, just like brief, like, should we do this? Or nah, well, let's go here. Or we never really squabbled or like fucking, it's always been, I'm not even just saying that either. No one's ever really squabbled over anything, like at all, you know? It's always like just having a laugh and maybe a bit of a debate on something, or just like, you know, there's never really any beef about where we were riding or what anyone was doing, you know? And just, yeah.
What sort of age are you when you signed for BSD then? Because you've been with those guys for years now.
Yeah, I know. 8 years, is it? I started riding for BSD, I believe, when I was 22. Don't count me on that. About 22, so I'm 30 now. So yeah,
but still like relatively young. It must have been pretty insane because like when you boys go on trips, you're not just like going to Spain or whatever. You're like literally going all out, especially in like that any which way.
Yeah.
Like that's like America.
Yeah, France.
You got Asia on that as well? You guys been Asia since?
We have been since, yeah.
What's it like as like a 22-year-old riding BMX? Are you just like, how the fuck have I ended up in this spot? You're just getting paid to go all over the world.
It's just, mad. Like, you know, especially going on holiday, like with your mates, like when you're younger, you know, when you're 15, 16 and that, and you know, you go on holiday with your parents and then, you know, you get to like 17, 18 and you're like, right, I need to start making a living. So you end up like working a bit. So getting to like 21, like 22 and like, I mean, I'd been on holiday with my mates before. I've been to Texas with my mates and stuff, but like in terms of like being on a road trip or I know with any which way we were constantly on road trips, like literally it'd be like go home for like a week and then you're away again. Or whatever, and it was just like so mad because it's like where's next, and like never been any of the places, like so it's just like you say, a young lad, and you're trying to figure out like, well, you're learning everyone's culture and learning everyone's like how they live, and just opens your mind to actually what the world is and how different people live and how different ways of life are, and you know, and it just makes you take a step back and realize, and then, you know, you take that to your way of life and try and make that better, you know. But it's definitely mad as a kid, like crazy times for sure.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like funny chatting to Chris and stuff, and he's saying pretty much the same shit, just like almost like pinching himself. He's like 19, 20, and he's like, how am I, whether it's with BSD or he's obviously done stuff with Red Bull, like literally, like, how the hell is like, you might not be making like shitloads of money, but you're like, how the hell is like somebody decided it's worth their while to like paying for a flight to go somewhere
on a trip. Yeah, no, totally, man. Absolutely.
So when you're like working, like becoming like a pro rider, essentially, you're like, what, you've signed for BSD and you got like a signature frame and stuff.
Yeah.
Are you basically like working? Have you always had like jobs as well? Or are you like full-blown professional?
Well, I did from leaving school at like, I left school at like 15, 16 and went straight into like a industrial painting job. I was like painting lampposts and railings. And that was horrible. that was borderline child slave labor. Like, I'm not even joking. Like 150 quid a week to work 12 hours on nights.
Oh, because I can
even get a Saturday.
Yeah.
Like, not even an apprenticeship, just a job to get me some money after leaving school. So that lasted about 9 months. Then went to like joinery, did like timber frame housing. And then after that, I was just like, I didn't really get on with it. Like, didn't really like the company I worked for. And then my dad was actually was a mechanic, but learned how to be a tiler because we'd moved to Spain at one point to Malaga for like a year and a half or whatever. And he obviously didn't want to be a mechanic out in Spain, so he like learnt the trade of tiling. So when we obviously came back, I didn't want to do joinery or whatever. Like, I didn't want to do like anything to do with that company I was working for. So I was like, it pushed me away from joinery anyway. And then my dad was a tiler, so I was like, I'm just going to do that with my dad. So I had like 5-6 years doing tiling, but it's like, but I rode as well, and like I rode BMX and I tiled, and it was just like I always like tiled and worked just because I knew I'd make money from doing it, and like I knew like my dad's worked his whole life, and I wanted to show my dad that I'd work and do something I didn't want to do for what I love doing, you know what I mean? Because, you know, BMX ain't always been like, I mean, it ain't really now. There's like plenty of companies pleading poverty and whatnot, but like, you know, back then it was like really bad. And like, you know, there wasn't a lot of money unless you were like big top dog, like, you know, there wasn't really that much money to play with. So, you know, getting sent on a trip or, you know, getting a flight paid for, a hotel paid for, you know, was good, you know. It was like, so back then it was like, it was pretty hard to like make a living from doing it. And it was just like, I love doing it that much anyway that it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It was like, you know,
I guess if like you have an like another job as well. It kind of like liberates you in some way to basically then not need to like maybe go down certain avenues within, or maybe like do something that's not true to yourself within riding.
Yeah.
And it means you can just like stick to what you actually just want to do.
Exactly, mate. And at the time, it's like you say, you have more of an appreciation for riding because you're doing something that you deep down you don't really want to do. You're just doing it for the money. Yeah. It's like, so the appreciation and the motivation you build to do the riding is built through doing that. So I think in a way, like, you know, it's probably a blessing in disguise that it went that way, because it made me love doing it more, and it made me get stuck into doing it more. And I still definitely think I could have done more. And I always think that, you know, like I think back to like being younger, and I'm like, I wish I'd have done that as well. And like, I wish I'd done this. I wish I'd took this opportunity, and just, you know, like it's easy to look back and say you wish you'd done this and stuff like that. But then I look at that, and then I just think if I'd not had that, and I'd just had everything given to me back then, and, you know, had money from riding back then, like, you know, it might have not played out the same, you know? Like, I feel like I probably had to prove something to someone somewhere to be able, you know.
That's class. So your dad pretty supportive then, of like,
yeah,
even though you're working together, like still super supportive of the whole BMX side of things.
Never ever told me I couldn't ride or do anything. Never told me I couldn't have a day off work. Like, you know, he's always like been so supportive of like, even though he's probably like never really understood riding, and like, you know, probably doesn't really get it. He like gets that like riding's my life, you know, and like I'm always gonna do it. And like, yeah, he was just always so supportive, like through work and everything. And yeah, just couldn't have asked for a better dad really when it came to that. That's why I just wanted to make him proud, you know what I mean? I just wanted to make him. So my dad's really bad now. Like, he's fucking, his back's like really bad, and he needs surgery again. And, you know, I look at him and I'm like, you've worked so hard and lived your life basically so I can live this life, you know? And it's like, even like thinking back to working and shit, I still don't think it's enough, like, to show him. And like, he'll tell me he's proud of me and all that sort of stuff, but like, I don't know.
I'm sure it is. It's pretty cool that you've managed to do, like, there's not many people who can do both things, like.
Yeah, I just always like work never really got in the way, because I just feel like through the week all my mates were doing other things anyway, so I probably wouldn't have really been riding.
You can only ride, especially when you ride hard and like street, it's like, maybe a little bit different if, say, you're a road rider or something. You need to do like 6 hours a day. But like if you're riding like hard BMX street, or if you're riding, say, like trials, like I find myself, especially as you get a bit older, you can only like, if you do any more than like 2 or 3 hours, you're like,
3 times a week.
So so it's like there's kind of no reason that you can't like work as well or study or do whatever. So.
Of course, man, of course, definitely.
One other thing I was going to ask you, right? We obviously talked about it a little bit at the start. There was obviously mountain bikes.
Yeah.
You've been riding mountain bikes. Well, like from my side, like looking in as like someone who say like follows you on Instagram, you've ridden mountain bikes for a few years now.
Yeah.
Sounds like you obviously rode mountain bikes before that. Went to BMX, and you've kind of come back to mountain bikes.
Yeah.
How did that sort of? I don't say transition to mountain bikes, you're still riding BMX, but how did you get back into it?
Yeah, so like, mad story again. So back to me riding with all my mates that rode BMX, like that skate park shut down eventually. A concrete park opened up down the road. We rode that for a bit, but then that was kind of still pretty shitty. And then round about the area, you know, razor scooters, the new next level razor scooters, like not the fold up like crappy ones, like, you know, the actual like sick ones that people are riding now, they started coming out. And then kids were like, oh, why would I ride a BMX when I can ride a scooter? So next thing you know, like these parks we were going to and these places we were going, literally you couldn't ride because there were just that many kids on scooters, like that many. And it was just like, for my mates, like, you know, they're working away all week, right? And then coming home and wanting to ride maybe just one day on a Saturday, and they're going down to the park and all they're doing is getting snaked. Yeah. So it's like, they were just like, you know, we can't really do this anymore. So we got into mountain biking, you know, going down to riding trails, a couple of local trails about. And, few other places, you know, and they realise, you know, we can get the same fun out of riding, going somewhere, and we don't have to deal with 100 kids running into us, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I never even really thought of that as like a potential cause, but it makes so much sense.
You're like, seriously. And, you know, they started doing that, and I was still riding BMX. Like, I didn't actually have a mountain bike. I was still riding BMX because I was like filming and like, you know, going away on trips. So for me, I wasn't really feeling that kind of like vibe, you know, like overcrowded skate parks. Yeah. But it wasn't until I broke my knee. When I broke my knee, I was like 6-7 months in, about this time in. And I was like, physio had told me, they're like, oh, you could do with like going road biking or something, you know, like get it moving. So I thought about it, I was like, do I get a road bike? Do I do this? Do I do that? And then I spoke to my mate Kyle, and he's just like, why don't you just get a mountain bike and come out on come for a ride through woods with us? So I'm like, yeah, but where am I going to get one? So funnily enough, I was tiling at the time, and Paul, the plumber I was working with, had a Trek Remedy, like 160 travel Trek Remedy, right? And he's like, mate, I bought this bike. He's like, I don't even ride it. Like, I used to go to Wales on it and stuff. And then I think he had a bit of a bad crash and then never rode it. He's like, get you sent out. He's like, borrow that and get yourself out. So pretty much just stemmed from there. It went from just following them, riding through woods, watching them do jumps, to going, you know, pushing boat out a bit more, maybe going to like a bit better places, and then eventually, you know, going around berms and like doing like little jumps, and it was just one of them things where I did it because it was easier on my knee, and it meant that I could have the same riding feeling as on a BMX, but it was just something completely different. Yeah. And like actually getting on a mountain bike and riding that, and like getting the feeling from doing that, just made me enjoy my BMX more. So I was getting to a point on BMX where I was literally just I was going out to ride, and if I didn't do something new, or if I didn't get an Instagram clip, or if I didn't, you know, like I had to go and like I needed that like fix, you know what I mean? And I'd lost the feeling. Like, you know, the feel good, like as something feeling nice, I'm just trying to do something. And then getting on the mountain bike, and then actually like, you know, throwing it around and feeling how nice it felt. I was like, riding feels good. Like, why do I have to make it about what I'm doing and how much I'm pushing myself? Why can't I just enjoy it as well for how it feels? And, you know, all from there, it just made me enjoy the feelings of riding so much more. So I proper like thank it for sure. Like,
I suppose it's just natural, like when you ride something for so long and get that good, let's say like BMX for example, to then like get that like marginal gain is so much harder than when you say like go back to like riding a mountain bike and you're a complete beginner at it, and it's like the progression is just like so much more like noticeable, isn't it? Because like how quick can you go, like when you first start riding something, especially if you've like got some sort of bike skills from another discipline, the sort of you're on this kind of like upward progression curve that maybe you're like a little bit further along maybe on the BMX thing, and it's hard to get those like that gains. I've definitely found that with like the trials bike, moving on the mountain bike, and it's like it's so much hard to like feel the progression you get on the mountain bike now, but because I'm not as good on it as I would be on a trials bike, so I've not done it as much basically. But
I know what you're saying. You feel like you, by going to the other one, that you're hindering the progression of like the thing that you've grown up riding, sort of thing.
Yeah,
like,
kind of. But then at the same time, I think it completely gives you like a new perspective when you then do jump on like in my case trials bike, in your case BMX. You suddenly jump on a trials bike, and it like, especially if you go from say the e-bike or the mountain bike to trials bike, it suddenly feels like super like nimble and light, and you're like, oh, this is class, and you're like.
You notice the qualities about them both, and that's an interesting point, because it's like people say, they're like, oh, does it not feel weird when you go from one to the other? And it's like, yeah, it does feel different, but it's like I love going from BMX to mountain bike because it's like I'm on this like sturdy, like bigger, sturdier thing, and you can go faster, and you can essentially like get in like weird positions and stuff, and like. But then it's like, then going back to the BMX, it's like, oh, I'm getting back on this twitchy, nimble. So you're like, you're realizing and you're taking what qualities you like about each bike, and by going backwards and forth between, you're realizing those qualities, and you know, because it's like my BMX like now is like really light, like stupid, like for how a 4-pegged BMX like is ridiculous. Like it's got a carbon rim up front, like it's so light, and it's like it's so easy to get used to that bike, and it to be not to feel light, you know. And then I get on mountain bike, and that's still a light bike, but it's still so much heavier and harder to move around. So after I've rid that and I go back to BMX, I'm like, whoa, you know what I mean? It's like light again, you know what I mean? So you take both qualities from me.
Have you had any good loop outs, trying manuals in your BMX after?
I was just about to say, I went to Canada for like a month, like road Whistler, rode some incredible stuff, but that was just like wall to wall mountain bike every single day. I think it was the most I've ever rode mountain bike ever. Yeah. Remember getting home, literally like chucking my bags down, whatever. I got BMX, out of garage, and I went to manual down the street, looped out, actually stepped off my front foot and stood on my back peg and looped out. And I've not done that in so long. Like I've literally kind of like taught myself to like step over the peg or to the side because it hurts so bad. But I remember just getting up BMX and just picking front end up, and I was like, whoa, too hard. And then I stood on my back peg and I looped out and ended up back slapping floor. And I was just like, you need to just calm it down.
It's funny how quick you can just get back into it, like literally within I find like 10, 15 minutes, and you're like suddenly
you go from
feel how like adaptable it can be.
Exactly right. And I feel like you go from like, whoa, and then you're so disheartened because you're like, this should feel normal. But then, like you say, give it 15, 20, even half an hour, and then you've toned it down, or you know what I mean? And you've got adjusted to it. So I think it's more like a switch thing, and it's just a little bit of a transition period. You get on the bike, the switch flips, and then it's a bit fuzzy for like, and then it like kind of levels out. It's almost like a signal picking up or something, you know, like.
It's funny how it all works, but
yeah, cool.
You obviously been riding with like Loose Dog and all the 51 boys. How did that sort of connection even happen?
So again, like through like my mate Ad and Kyle, like them riding mountain bike, like they, as soon as 50-1 started bringing videos out and all that, because they like Ad and that got into watching like downhill racing, and then at the time obviously like Loose and Rat and that are all like racing and stuff, but then obviously they broke away from that, and then 50-1 like came around with the making of the videos, you know, more like a session vibe kind of thing, and we related to those videos straight away, because like I've never really been into racing, I'll admit, do you know what I mean? I wouldn't really know where to start, but you know, like these 50-1 videos were just like a vibe video. Like all mates are out riding, having a laugh. Like it kind of related to like BMX videos almost, you know? So like they were on that straight away. And like I remember you used to show me like, especially the first like few videos I brought out, like, oh, this is like, these lads are only from like Sheffield and whatnot, and like they're making these videos, and like there's a place called Warney that they dig at and all this and that, like it's mint, there's loads of stuff. And like we just ended up going one day, me and Ad, and we went to Warney, and I think I'd like posted something on my Insta like that I'd been at Warney, and like Luce hit me up and it was like, yo man, like fucking Warney's my local, like let me know next time, like being well sound, you know what I mean? I almost felt like a dick for not like messaging him first, like 'cause I knew, and I already knew like the road down there, but it was just like these were like big dogs, like, you know, like I was just like I didn't want to be like, kid, oh, can I come over and ride with you, like, you know, I just felt a bit like whatever. But I remember, I like went over to his like straight away, like first time I met him, he was like, yo, come over to mine, like went over to his, literally turned up with this like helmet from Argos, I swear to God.
I think I've seen that.
Bro, it was like a 15 quid helmet.
Is that because you needed a full face for Black?
I needed a full face for Black Mountain, right? And I just, I wasn't down for laying down 500 quid on a proper full face. So I went to Argos, it was a kid's helmet. A kid, mate, took the pads out, like the face guard was just this thin plastic, like you could press the face guard, right? You could grab the face guard and push it in it and touch your face. It was just there for no reason at all. And then basically Luce was just like, what is this helmet? Just like laughing and just like, man, and then ended up giving me like a well good like Fox helmet. And just like, just shit like that, man. Just real like open, nice, and like just was well sound and just like like it was all from there. Like it was mad, and I still cause him the same headaches today. Like turning up at rides with no sprocket and shit. Like I did it the other day. Like I was meant to be like building this new bike and I left the old cranks and sprocket on my other bike thinking that I wouldn't need them because I was like building some new stuff up. Like we get there and we've opened the vans up and I'm thinking there's going to be a van there with some stuff in, like with some new stuff in because we were doing some stuff for Berg Tech and it was my own stupid fault because I should have just brought that old stuff with me. So like before you know it, everyone's got the bike set up like ready to go. I'm still there with no cranks in my bike and I'm like, it's that kind of like that. I know that still transfers to now because every time I do something like that, Luce is just like has this little giggle or like this laugh where it's just like, it knows it's still prevalent in me, you know?
I think when you're used to like I'm the same with coming from like trials and it's like not just like the bikes are simple like BMXs are and like when you're going out the street like all you need is like your clothes and
your helmet
if you're wearing one and then like whereas like I always think like going mountain biking is more like going fucking skiing or something and there's just like all the shit that you need to remember. It's like a total mission.
Helmet, like you need multi-tool, like bag, water, like a lot of stuff for sure, a lot more on your mind. But you'd thought I'd have learnt now after like a few years, like I'm still turn up at rides and stuff, and I'm just like, has anyone got this or has anyone got that? And I'm just like they never give me a hard time, bless them, but I'm probably deserve one.
How your mechanicking skills in the mountain bike? Did they get better?
Well, I've always been well pervy about my bike being dialed. Like I hate a rattly bike. I hate anything loose. I hate anything bent. I don't mind scratches. Like visual wise, I'm not like, oh no, my bike's scratched. But like functionality, like I'm definitely like want my bike running nice. And like going from BMX, it's like bottom bracket's the same size, like hub width's the same size, like those forks will fit that frame, like, you know, everything. And it's like, you come to mountain bike and it's just like, this hub won't fit in this frame. And like, oh shit, like this isn't working. And like, there's so much. So my mechanic skills would definitely put me in my place because I thought I was cool that I could build up a BMX well nice and it didn't rattle when I dropped it. But it's like, oh yeah, just switch the linkage like washers over and like again put new bushings in this rear end and you're just like taking it all apart and there's all these washers flying everywhere. You're like, I'm never gonna be able to put this back. But yeah, I'd say they've come on a bit, but I still can't bleed brakes. Can do like gears and like do linkage and that and like put tokens in a shock and whatnot, you know what I mean? I'm not too bad at that, like, but like terms like bleeding brakes, I'm just like, I'm not done one yet. Kind of need to.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same to be honest. I'm like, can do a trials bike, not bad, but mine bikes.
Internal routing, man.
Oh my, don't get me started.
Internal routing is so, for that beautiful visual aesthetic.
Yeah, I'm just like kind of just to zip tie the cables to side the frame.
Just zip tie it up, brand new carbon frame.
So with getting into BMX, that was one thing I chatted to Chris about. Did you get a sort of level of like hate or stick from some folk, say follow you or the BMX community for switching over? Not, I keep saying switching over, but you're not switching over. You're still riding BMX, but doing mountain bike as well.
Oh yeah.
Like bad or?
Yeah. So well, not like threatening bad. Like I've not really been not essentially been threatened, but like some stuff that's been said, I've had to delete comments off my Insta and that. It's just like, that's a bit shit. Yeah. It's like, oh, like, you know, this like I used to like you when you just rode like BMX and like, oh what, and you know, at the end of the day, it's each their own. And if you don't like it, then fair enough. It's like really go out your way to go on my page and say that you wish that. It's like I still ride BMX. Like I'm not trying to choose one or the other. Like I'm not trying to say I'm either one or the other. You know, I'm just gonna do both. It's like it doesn't take away me. I feel like I got a bit of hate and a bit of stick because it's like, oh, you're not a true BMX. Because I feel like in BMX, it's like you've got to be a true BMXer. That's it, hardcore BMX only. You don't touch any other bike, and if you touch another bike, you're a whopper. You know what I mean? And it's like, it doesn't need to be like that, you know what I mean? I mean, I know when I was younger, I didn't like mountain bikes. Like, even though I had that Axis Townsend, like, as I grew older and got into mountain bikes, I didn't not that I'd go out my way to say I didn't like it, but I just didn't appreciate it. And it's just not something I thought about, you know what I mean? But it's like, I've got older, and as you get older, it's like eating new food, innit? It's like when you're younger, all you want to eat is pizza and chips. But like, as you get older, you enjoy broccoli and shit, you know? And it's the same kind of thing. It's like, you know what?
I can't believe you just made a comparison to mountain biking and broccoli. Like BMX is pizza and chips, and mountain bikes is broccoli.
I know, maybe that was a bad comparison. That wasn't the comparison at a molecular level. You know what I mean?
Nah, it's a good shout though.
Pan fried broccoli with garlic and chili, and a little bit of maple syrup.
Makes you appreciate the pizza and chips.
Yeah. No, but yeah, it's just like, it's like you don't have to segregate yourself to one area of riding. If you find it fun, then do it.
It's definitely been more and more over the last few years.
Oh, so many people
non-professionals as well as professionals.
Just everyone just doing both. I see so many kids,
and the other way as well, which is cool.
Yeah, both of them doing both. And I see lads that aren't like essentially pro and aren't all over Insta and stuff, but I see them at like parks and like I'm starting to see them like out on mountain bikes and stuff. Like I'm like, oh, like man, like when do you get a bike? Oh yeah, I've like still got BMX, but we've got this now, and it's like good to see like just everyone enjoying it. Like I mean, look at like Semenuk and Emil Johansson, like they've been posting clips on BMX and stuff, and they've been loving it, and it's like it's good to see like everyone just trying everything, you know, and just enjoying everything. It's not like...
That's how it should be as well. It's like...
Yeah.
I don't know. Just the fact that it doesn't take away from it, the other thing. Which
it doesn't, one doesn't take away from
for people to understand sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. I think people just get a little bit like butthurt by it, because it's almost like a circle of friends, isn't it? It's like, imagine you're part of like a circle of friends, right? Yeah. And you're like a diehard friend to that friend group, yeah. And then all of a sudden there's like another group of friends that are doing something different, yeah. And you're just like, well, I want to do this, but then I want to do that as well. And then all of a sudden you get like scrutiny and you get like attacked because they think you've essentially left, but it's like you're just doing something different, you know. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't have to be one or the other, you know. You can enjoy both, and it doesn't take away from either thing. Yeah. It's not like you're taking it away. So I
think it's like a good thing for like young kids to see getting into riding, that they can just like, they don't need to just commit to like, they don't need to decide if they're BMX or a mountain biker or a trials rider or even a skate or whatever. Just basically like everyone's so keen to like get really good at something, which is obviously fair enough, but it's like, why not just feel everything out for a little bit, and if you like one more, like go for that, and then or just do the ones that you prefer.
Mate, it's so right. I wish I'd realised that a bit younger.
Yeah, I'm the same, to be honest. Like I've only really got into mountain biking properly in the last like couple of years, and I would love to have done it more when I was younger.
Yeah. But it's just one of them. I know it's all part of the process of growing up in it and realising, and it's just, all you can really do now is just like try and emphasize to the younger generation that it is all about just having fun and like, you know, just riding whatever's fun, and not being like, oh, well, I don't want to ride that because I'm not a mountain biker, or I'm not a BMXer or whatever, you know. It shouldn't be, like you say, it shouldn't be like that, and the younger generation shouldn't be made to feel like it should be like that, you know. Like, enjoy everything.
Yeah. Do you find with like when it comes to doing like the big stuff, like what you'd call, like, say, a banger, like a big 3 down a set of steps or something, do you find hitting some like big jumps on the mountain bike, does that have any like spillover to maybe making something feel in your head, like in terms of scale, like a little bit more manageable?
Well, to be fair, yeah, like going like even like 360 like downstairs, or like doing a gap, or, you know, something like that, or even like doing a handrail, like you're really looking at something like, you know, unless it's like a 3 down, like a 5 stair, or like something like that, or, you know, or a grind down a 6 stair rail or whatever, you know. When you're like looking at like a decent sized handrail or like a stair set, you absolutely get the same feeling as when you're like looking at like a huge like jump, or like something that, you know, you can't really get wrong. You know, you're picking your line out. You're like, right, I'm going to take off here. I'm I'm gonna land there. Like, you know, it's definitely the same feeling, because just one thing that goes wrong throughout that process and you're in deep shit. Yeah. It's like whether you're halfway down a handrail or you're halfway over like a jump where you want to land quick and turn, or into another jump or something, you know, it's definitely the same kind of feeling for sure. Like same like adaptability that's going on. Like you're trying to like think where you're going to be and how you're going to adapt in that situation. And, you know, it's like definitely transfers for sure. Sure.
Yeah, I was watching, me and Danny and Raspy were watching going through the BSD back catalogue yesterday and seeing like some of the sort of threes down like big sets are just like wild. Is there like do you have like any sort of way of like dealing with getting yourself amped to do shit like that, or is it very much just a case of just seeing how it feels when you get there?
I think it's like, it's definitely when you're working on something like when I've ever done something like that, like the last big thing I 360 was in Hull, and I did that because it was like I was filming an edit and I wanted it to be like the best stuff I could do basically, and like I knew that I wanted something like that in it, and it's like throughout an average day, or like, you know, I don't just go around like wanting to three off the shit, and like, you know, I really have to put myself in the right mindset. But then again, that's why it means more to me, I feel like, because I don't do it all the time. It's like I don't want to be out there just putting myself through hell, just throwing down the biggest shit I can. Like I want it to be over something, or like, you know, I'm not trying to say I've never just threed a stair set for the sake of threeing a stair set, but like definitely as I got older, it became more about the setup and the surroundings and what video I'm doing it for and the people that I'm with. It all has to be right. You know what I mean? For you wanting to do it. And then once you're in that like zone, I feel like it all just happens from there. And most of the time it is just a 360. Like you can, like three's probably like one of the first tricks you learn, I guess. And it's just figuring out like how slow or how fast you need to do it for how fast you're going. But again, it's like once you get to that speed, and you're like, I find you pedaling up to something, you're pedaling and your heart's going and you're like, fuck, like, and then as you get to like, you can't see anything. It's just the whole way you're pedaling it up to, it's just this like,
it's holding it a little bit.
It's just this like ledge with nothing behind it. You could be landing anywhere and you're just like, and then like last minute when you literally your front wheel's like this far away, you can see where you're landing, and you go from being scared to like confident. And it's like, I'm not trying to say again that I've never like messed it up, but like that one in a Hull, I did that, and like first time I did that, I managed to land like where I wanted to, but my foot blew off, and then I ended up falling off just because it was like that fast. But then once I got that out of the way, I knew exactly how fast I needed to spin, and it was just a case of like grab my bike and run back to the top while I still had it in my head. And it's like it's a shame that like, because most of the time I've threed something, I'd never done it first go. I've always blown off first go, just purely because you're not ready for the impact. But it's like once you've been through the impact and once you've kind of figured out where you're landing, it's like fear turns to confidence. So yeah, it's weird. Like I definitely would like to do a couple more. Just need to get ankle back, back ready to go off of stuff again.
See what Darren thinks to it.
I know,
is there any like if you had to pick like one sort of banger that you've done over the years, is there one that sort of stands out as like the sort of biggest sort of, or basically what you're most kind of like proud of in terms of like one-off stunt?
Probably that. Probably stunt I'm most stoked on. Probably that 3 in Hull. That's definitely the biggest 3 I've done.
Is that one that goes over the rail?
Yeah, that wooden one. It's like wooden, like like it's just been made actually the past couple of years, pretty new. And that's definitely the biggest 3 I've done. But in terms of like what I'm most proud of, it'd probably be a smaller tech trick than something big, because
like worked that
I've literally spent like probably sometimes, you know, days going back to trying it. So it's like, in terms of like what I'm proud of, I'd probably say I'm more proud of like a grind, or like I remember in America filming with Alex, and there was like this like kink rail. Well, it wasn't like a real down rail, but it's like went down, and it was like down, flat, down, and it like slightly curved as well. And I remember going past it and I was like, straight away, I was like, I'd love to crooked grind down that. So Alex whipped camera out and I literally crooked grinded it to 180 after a few goes. I thought it was going to take me ages. Do you know what I mean? Just because I'm not really that good at balancing on rails. I do like rails, but in terms of like long, like locked, like balancing grinds, it's just not really me. So like to get to the bottom and then 180 off, I was just like, fucking, I was like, what if I could like 180 halfway down and then grind like backwards down the rest of it? Just like, oh, we'll give it a few goes. And then just like, again, a few more goes, I just like hit the kink and just went 180 and it just locked in and I just grinded back and then 180 out. And I was just like, you see on the clip, I was so surprised because like, I didn't, in my head, I was like, I really wanted to do it, but I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. The only reason why I carried on trying it is because I'd already pulled what I wanted. Yeah. So I was like, so if I don't pull it, I don't really care. Yeah, do you know what I mean? But then I did that and I just like, I'd probably say that's probably one of my like proudest tricks for sure, just because I'd like never expected to really do it.
What video is that in?
And the VX rated VSD one, yeah. I think it's like third to last clip or something. But yeah, a lot of stuff in that video I was really happy with and really proud of, because I really pushed myself to do stuff and like really wanted to try and do the best stuff I could, you know, and to have that video to show for it and just like, yeah, I'm just really happy. Don't really care how many people have seen it or how big the video is.
It's just like always there, that stuff.
Yeah. And I just like, I know myself that everything that I wrote in that video, I put my all into, you know, and I'm just proud of that as a whole. So yeah, it's nice to have, for sure.
Nice. Well, I think we've had you in here for an hour and 10 minutes.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks very much for sitting down. It's been good to catch up. I actually forgot to mention the first time we met each other was in a nightclub, and all sorts of madness happened. But maybe you've been let off with that one. If we ever get you back on, we'll talk about that.
When you had like 50 ml of water running through your flat, and it just like, what was it, like foam everywhere as well and stuff like.
Pretty much. Pretty sure you were in leopard print. Leopard print wide front ball bags.
Leopard print. Whose room did I get those from?
Yeah. Who knows?
It might have been your clothes, but maybe, I don't know.
But yeah, we'll save that for another day. Where should folk hit you up on Insta and stuff? What's your Insta?
Donny _Soulja.
Donny Soulja.
SOULJA.
And I'll link all the videos that we just talked about, so people can go and watch the lines that we were just chatting about. But
no, thanks, man.
There you go. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me, and sorry for the ropey start, a bit of stuttering going on. It's my first time, you know? My first rodeo on the back of the horse, you know what I mean? Trying not to fall off. But yeah, no, honestly, thank you so much for having me on. Love what you and Danny and everyone's doing with the drop and roll stuff, and you know, he's really like doing a good thing and like pushing it in his own way, and like it's really good to see. And
it'd be good to ride with you boys at some point.
Love to, man. Love to.
It's good to see the way you guys sesh. So
thank you, and yeah, just been a big pleasure talking to you, man. Thank you.
Nice. Here we go. Cheers.
Yes, cheers, man.
Cheers.